And we feel like in our athletic director, Joe Lees, that we have a gentleman that will direct the athletic program at the University of Georgia, both with wisdom and dignity. And as I think of him, I think, too, of why I was hired at the University of Georgia, and basically to win a reasonable amount of football games, and secondly, to help send out young men who will represent well their state university, their hometown, their parents.
I think that we play a reasonably tough schedule. We play 6 home games. For the next 4 or 5 years, we play at least 6, and 1 or 2 years we play 7. I've done that for 2 reasons, both of them selfish. One of them is when we play in Atlanta, we make a lot of money. And we like to make the money because we use it. It goes back into capital improvement at Georgia Tech. And they don't fuss at me as athletic director. And as a coach, it's worth about 7 points to play on your home field. And I like that.
You know that Coach Dodd was an All-American player. But do you know that in the 19 years that he's been head coach at Georgia Tech, he's produced 19 All-American players? You probably saw in the paper yesterday where Coach Dodd is ranked 6th among all of the active college football coaches in America in the percentage of games won. That, coupled with the fact that 11 of his teams have played in bowls, attests to his success as a football coach. But do you know that he would very likely have been just as great a success in your business had he chosen that for a career? I say that not just because he's a fierce competitor, but because he has a great faculty for analyzing problems and separating the significant factors from the insignificant. He has a tremendous sense of public relations timing and insight. And as an executive, he has a superb understanding of the delegation of responsibility and authority. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a man that I believe would be a success in anything he undertook, Georgia Tech's athletic director, Robert Lee Dodd.
Thank you. Bob, that sounded good even though you do work for me. Our guards are better than average. We have more depth at guard than we normally have. Our tackles, we never have enough tackles, and we don't have enough this year. Our end position is very questionable due to injuries. If I can get 2 or 3 boys who are crippled back into the lineup, particularly a real fine boy named George Morris, the same as our center's name over in Birmingham, who could play regular for it. They change your position because they are first string, and that boy moves down to second and so forth. It gives you more depth and more ability. Our end position is very questionable as to how 2 or 3 boys respond to treatment. To get into the backfield, I think we have as colorful a backfield as we've ever had play for us, unless it was the 56th backfield of Wade Mitchell, Rotenberry, Balkert, and Ken Owen, plus backed up by Jimmy Thompson, Johnny Minger, and some of the best football players we've ever had at Tech. I've got real fine halfbacks, but I've got some boys that will appeal to you in color. You'll want to see them play, and if you knew them better, you'd love them more. I've got 2 quarterbacks who will try to take Lothridge's place. They're good kids, fine students, one from North Augusta named Jerry Priestley, and the other one named Bruce Fisher from Miami. Bruce is the little boy who is quick and fast, and Priestley is the taller boy who can throw better. I don't know which one will be our starting quarterback. We've groomed them for this. We knew we were going to lose Lothridge, and we planned this, so we're ready. We think they'll do satisfactory. Halfback is our strongest position. I have some of the finest running halfbacks that I think in the South. But I have one backfield that if I can play them as a unit on offense, you'll like them and I'll like them too, because if we can just show them daylight, they can run. Now, without daylight, Jim Taylor or Jimmy Brown or anybody else can't run. But if we're good enough to whip that other line of scrimmage every once in a while, these guys can run. And I'm talking basically about a little boy named Johnny Gresham, about a 160-pound boy from down here in Washington, Georgia, who is a senior. He is president of Georgia Tech senior class this year. He was president of our junior class of last year. At the other halfback, I've got a little boy named Terry Haddock, a 160-pound boy who has run the 100 in 9.6, and believe me, that's flying. And Terry was a sophomore last year and made some real fine runs, and there isn't any reason to believe that he won't make better runs if we can give him the blocking. And then we got a boy from Valdosta who weighs probably 175 to 178, who plays fullback, who was a halfback, named Giles Smith. Giles was on that championship Valdosta team, of which we got 5 of the boys, and they're all fine boys, but Giles could be a great one. He can do anything you want done. He's a lot like Rotenberry. We used to say Rotenberry can do anything we want done in a football game, and he did. And Giles can do the same thing. So with that backfield, they're all small and they're all short. And if we can play them as a unit, they'll be colorful, and as I say, give them daylight and they'll make ground. We will be real weak in the kicking game. We actually don't have a good punter. No one in Lothridge's class. We have a little boy who will do the field goal and extra point kicking as a specialist named Bunky Henry. He's Billy Goodloe's nephew. I couldn't miss him. I didn't have to worry about recruiting him. Bunky is a fine golfer. If most of you golfers know, have kept up with him, and I think Bunky is a competitor. He has played football on Valdosta High team and had to quit because of an injury. He can kick that ball, I think, through the uprights as good as Lothridge did. But as for the other parts, there won't anybody keep up with Lothridge. We'll have adequate material there, but not good. Games in 4 away. One of our big away from home games is we play the Naval Academy in Jacksonville, and we get to play against Roger Staubach, the great player last year who beat our boy Lothridge out to the Heisman Award, and he deserved it. This boy's great. We play them in Jacksonville, but in the next few years, we will have some most attractive home games for you all here in Atlanta. Just some of the highlights we will be playing in the next few years. We'll be playing the University of Miami. We'll be playing Texas A&M, TCU. We'll be playing Penn State. We will be playing a series of 4 games with Notre Dame on a home-and-home series. I have already signed up a Big Ten team on a home-and-home series. We will be playing Southern California back out at Southern Cal, and then they in turn will come back into us. So we have some very interesting and exciting games, and I hope that we can continue to play football the way you people want it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vince and Bobby, for spending this time with us. This program is always one of the highlights of the Rotary year. The inconvenience that this caused at this time, with Vince coming off of a vacation to be with us, and Bobby just having had an operation, makes this a real special occasion for us. Again, thank you.
This morning, it was with more than an unusual amount of anxiety and apprehension. Perhaps some of you will recall that I filled this slot last year, the one that I'm filling currently, and I did such an outstanding job that the fellow that I introduced is now selling life insurance for a competitor of mine. And furthermore, Coach Dodd.
Thank you, Rankin. Mr. President, distinguished guest, and fellow Rotarians, I'm delighted to be here to talk Georgia football. I'm particularly delighted to address an organization of which I am a member in Athens, one that in the very short time that I've been a member has certainly inspired me by the high ideals, principles, and our great slogan, service above self. I thought I would treat my part of the program on a twofold basis. One, to tell you the outlook at the University of Georgia from a long-range basis, and then talk to you about our immediate situation this year. First of all, I would like to pay tribute to Coach Dodd, a gentleman that I have long admired and respected through the years as a youngster, as a ball player, as a coach, and one that I get very frightened about, honestly, when I think of soon competing against a gentleman that has been coaching football longer than I've been living. One of the most inspiring things that has happened to me and to Joe Lee's athletic director at Georgia is to sense that among Georgia people that there's a closing of ranks, a rededication to a new spirit, to forget some of the unfortunate things that has happened to Georgia in the past, things that were perhaps not the fault of any one individual or any group of individuals, but unfortunate things. And we sense, as we've traveled around the state, and we know from a competitive standpoint that Georgia's ship has gone through rough and battered seas, and we feel like that now among Georgia people that they are rallying to go forward with something progressive for the university. And certainly the University of Georgia has a lot to offer, a great history, and it's the oldest state chartered university in this country, a great academic institution, and one phase of this year that certainly high standards that we'd like to set our sails for, and that is the debating team finished second in the country, and a great football heritage in the past. And athletic-wise, we feel like now a physical plant that is second to none in this country, and you've all seen the new, perhaps on television, if not in person, the new Coliseum that we're all so very proud of, where now all of our athletic offices are housed, where all of our athletic teams now dress and use those facilities. A new track, a brand new baseball field, and a very old and traditional football field. But I know, too, that a physical plan alone does not make anything work, but it's those people that are behind it, that manned it, and an accomplished first mission.
They lost only one game.
I'm not one much to pass